Hey everyone and welcome back, and I'm hoping you're having a great Christmas time off, however you're spending it with the holidays with your family or your friends, or if you're not even on holiday or just enjoying this time off from Milan. Obviously last time I spoke to you guys, we got a recent win against Empoli, but also the loss against Napoli, so I'm kind of happy that we've gone into the winter break. We're going to recover some players going into the next part of the season, but we're at the halfway mark of the season, and what I wasn't able to do last year, because I only joined the team really at like sort of January, February, but I did in the summer, was a sort of like a ratings of the players so far and how they're performing throughout the season. So this is the midway mark performance review of the squad. All the players in the squad are going to do a quick result out of 10, and also Stefano Pioli's performance so far. I also want to say that this review doesn't sort of include the fact if they've been injured or not. Look, the whole squad has been injured near enough, other than like 6 or 7 players. So I'm not going to make that sort of hinder upon their review. But obviously, if you haven't been injured and you kept yourself fit throughout the whole course of the season, that might help you along the way. But anyway, let's get straight into it. First up, goalkeepers, we have Mike Mignon. I gave him a 7 out of 10. 16 games so far this season, 19 goals conceded, 5 clean sheets. Obviously, he got the massive injury, which he sort of sped past his recovery. That maybe has affected his form in December. I'm hoping we're going to see the best from Mike Mignon. I'm very convinced we will do in the second half of the season. And I think, 7 out of 10 is a good justification of how good he's done so far for Milan since joining us in the summer. Next up is Cyprian Tatarusanu. I gave him a 6 out of 10. 9 games, 12 goals conceded, 2 clean sheets. Look, when Mike went down, we were very worried what Tatarusanu was going to offer us. Obviously, he's not the best. He's a backup keeper for a reason. And when he came on, yes, there are a few shaky moments, but, we got a decent output from the guy. And I think a 6 out of 10 is a good justification of how he was able to perform when Mike was down. The backup keepers, Plizzari and Meranti, I've given them no mark out of 10 because it's impossible because they've not played a single minute. Obviously, Meranti has kept himself fit since the point of him joining us when Mike got injured, but I don't think that kind of justifies anything. They're both a 0 out of 10 or a non-applicable. Okay, defenders now. Fikayo Tomori, I gave him a 9 out of 10. I think he's been our best centre-back at the club. Probably our best defender, actually. Our best defender. 22 games, 4 bookings, 6 clean sheets, and 1 goal. Tomori's been great. I think he's been our best centre-back, head above, like, Kaya Romagnoli. I think the quality right now is very good in the centre-back department, other than kind of one of the players. Tomori's been great. I love his aggression. I love his physicality. I love the way he's so passionate for the shirt. I just think he's been brilliant, and I think a 9 out of 10, and I think we'll keep his form up for the rest of the season. Next up, technically our still captain, Alessio Romagnoli. I gave him a 7 out of 10. I've liked Romagnoli's output. I don't think he gets enough credit as he deserves. A lot of people are starting to notice it right now, especially since Kaya's gone down. Yes, he had that kind of blip game against Sassuolo where he scored, also got sent off, and then also created a meme of him face planting against the floor when Berardi went to run against him. But Romagnoli, for the most part, has been actually convincing. He's worked on his confidence quite a lot, and I've liked his output from him. And the other centre-back who unfortunately we've lost for the rest of the season is Simon Kaya. Like, he played 14 games along the way, got 3 clean sheets as well. Kaya was doing all right. I gave him a 7 out of 10. There's been a lot of good attention going along his way. Of course, he made that short list, and within a week he got a season-ending injury. It's such a shame. I think he's got a great partnership with Tomori, but I still think equally Romagnoli and Tomori are a good partnership as well. And that might not even be for the rest of the season because we might be getting another centre back in January. But Kaya's output has been pretty solid. I was going to give him maybe a 6.5, but I think 7 is pretty fair for the guy considering that he was relatively strong before he got injured. And lastly, the last centre back is Matteo Gabbia. I gave him a 4.5 out of 10, and it's quite hard because obviously he doesn't play a lot of games. He only played 3 fixtures this season, and there's a reason why. And there's probably a reason why his form has been quite inconsistent because he doesn't play much. Look, Gabbia, I think when you do not play regularly, it's your chance to really take the ball by the horns, and he's not really done that. He's looked very shaky. I just don't know. He's very young. I do feel like this player needs to go out on loan next season if we do get a centre-back in January and Kaya comes back in the summer and say we extend Romagnoli's deal. He needs game time, and he's not getting that right now at the club, and he's not looking convincing. Okay, the fullbacks. Teo Hernandez, 7.5 out of 10. Contributed very much to our offense. 5 assists. He's got the most assists from the club right now. Look, he's great. He's a bit shaky. He's very shaky in defence. Sloppy sometimes. Been the fault to many goals. A few goals at least. Look, Teo's great. He's still the best left back in the league for me. Probably one of the best left backs in the world. I think he's fantastic going forward. I think he's brilliant. He's a modern fullback in all forms the way you see it. He's great. But I just think with him going down with COVID has affected his form slightly, and also the fevers he's had along the way. I just think we haven't seen the best out of him. And considering our game such a great rating last season, I think we'll see that from the second half of the season. Maybe bump that 7.5 up into like a 9 or something like that. His other left back, Fodo Ballatore, I'm not the biggest fan of. I gave him a 4 out of 10. Just been shaky all round. I've not been convinced with him. I'm still think. I know it's early days, 6 months into his Milan career, but we've put the money up front for him. You know, it was like €5 million for the player. I'm just not convinced, and I think we could have maybe gotten a loan deal for a left back or gone for a younger profile, a low risk profile. And we're even right now looking at other profiles at the left back department, like Aaron Hickey at Bologna, because we're not convinced of Ballatore as the backup left back. And yeah, I think 4 out of 10 is justification of that. To the right backs now, Davide Calabria, I gave him a 7.5 out of 10. I've really liked it when Calabria's played. You know, he's gotten 2 goals and 1 assist along the way as well. He's only played 14 games, which is less than the other 2 right backs we're going to mention. Actually 3, but the other one of them doesn't really count. But Calabria has been pretty good. You know, he's really working his attacking end of the scale. He's always had that sort of aggression, that physicality from defensive contributions. And I've loved when he's played. He just obviously needs to work on his fitness, and he should be back for the Roma game, for the first game of the second half of the season. Pierre Kalulu, I gave him a 7 out of 10. I think he's been great. You know, he's really worked on his confidence going forward, his distribution, his, you know, inward runs into play, very similar to like Calabria's progression at right back as well. Kalulu's been great, and even when we've sort of had to pump him at left back, he's done it with 100% confidence, or as a makeshift centre back as well. I think he's such a great player to rely upon. I know people want to play him a lot more than, say, like a Florenzi, but you know, it's a squad game. You know, people are going to give their contributions in different ways. He's also not been injured for the whole course of the season. Contributed to 2 assists as well. I think he's been really strong, and I think a 7 out of 10 is a justification of how he's improving in his Milan career. Next up is Alessandro Florenzi. Look, 16 games, 1 booking and 1 goal most recently in that Empoli fixture with his first free kick goal of his career. I gave him a 6 out of 10. I've always liked Florenzi. And once again, I think a lot of people judge him based on the fact they want to see Kalulu play a lot more football. I get that, and it does make sense because Kalulu's younger and he does offer a different output to his game. But Florenzi has great experience, and I think there's a reason why the coach relies upon him and calls upon him in certain games. You know, this isn't FIFA, and of course we always want to play the youngest players available, but we do have to know that experience does go a long way in a game of football. And with Kaya out, obviously the average age of the team drops down quite a lot, so that might be a reason why Florenzi's relied upon more than playing younger players like that. But I've liked this output, and it's a 6 out of 10. I'm actually quite interested to see if we're going to take up the buyout option in the summer, considering the fact that Kalulu's career is progressing in the way it is, and we have Calabria. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm going to keep my eyes on for the rest of the season. And the last defender is Andrea Conti. Not applicable because he's not played a single minute. Hopefully he gets his move to get out of the club in the January transfer window, because obviously he's just taking up a seat on the bench right now. Okay, midfielders. First up is Sandro Tonali, the best midfielder in the squad for me so far this season. He was featured in all 25 games so far. I've given him a 9 out of 10. Not injured at all. 2 goals, 2 assists. There's clearly been a massive surgence in his career at Milan, and he's been probably the joint best, most improved player. We'll come to Rafael Leao in a bit. But I've really loved Tonali so far this season. I think he's been fantastic. I love his aggression. I love the way he's just worked on everything when it comes to it, and imposed himself so well in Stefano Pioli's team and formation. Next up is Bennacer. Look, when I've kind of done this video, I started writing through the stats and thinking he's played a lot less fixtures, because notoriously he's usually quite injured. He's actually featured in 24 games so far this season, which is the second highest from the centre midfielders in this department. He contributed to 1 goal and 1 assist along the way. I've given Bennacer a 6.5 out of 10. I expect a lot better from Bennacer, and we've still once again not seen the best out of him, and it's quite hard considering the fact he does get injured quite frequently. I think Bennacer is a fantastic talent. He's got great distribution, a very good left foot. He carries the ball in a certain way that other midfielders in our team can't really do. I like him, and I always expect more. That's why I gave him a 6.5 so far this season. Next up is Timu Bakayoko. Yeah, look, like Ballatore, not convincing when he comes on. Just not good at all. Really concerned on how he's going to really carry us when Kessie and Bennacer, well, hopefully help to carry us when Kessie and Bennacer are gone for the African Cup of Nations. Bakayoko, very unconvincing. I give him a 4 out of 10 so far this season. Could have easily been a 3. Frank Kessie's half season so far has not been convincing for me. Look, considering the fact he was the MVP from last season, I think I gave him a 10 out of 10 when it came to it. I did not expect this drop off from him. And, stats can sometimes mask a player's performance. He's gotten 5 goals. He's got one assist along the way as well. I've given him 6.5 out of 10. Same result as Bennacer. And that could have easily been a 6. But I think that recent game against Empoli is just about pipped up a little bit. Kessie has been very shaky. He's not been imposing himself in the midfield as frequently as he was doing last season, as a sort of like a monster. I don't know. I think it all comes down to the contract issue, and until that's resolved, either him going or extending, we're not going to see the best out of this player, whether it's for us or for another team. Next, we'll go to Rade Krunic. He's someone that always divides opinions. Not a lot of people love his quality, and I get that. He's not the player that we need for the long-term future of the club. He's obviously limited with his output, but at the same time, he's available. Pioli likes him, and he can give 100% in the multitude of positions. I think we're going to look back, hopefully, as we sort of get better as a club, and we're going to look back at players like Rade Krunic, kind of like how we look back at banter era players who gave 100%, and like Juraj Kučka, and respect what they did for the club at the time. And I've always liked Krunic, and I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I would give him a 6 out of 10. This is also quite a hard one for me, because as the half the season has gone on, my rating for this guy has dropped, and that's Brahim Diaz. Look, it's not the fact that, look, the stats are there. The 4 goals, the 4 assists, 20 games. I know he had COVID, and that's a way to sort of give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt. But recently, he's just not been good. I want to give him a 6, but I think that's a bit harsh considering what he's contributed to the side so far. And he's kind of been equally on form with players like Benacer and Kessie, so I'll give him a 6.5. I do expect better from this player. I did pip him to have the breakout season, and he did start that way. But something's happening along the way, and he just needs to work on it. Otherwise, I just don't know what we're going to go. And everyone's calling out for attacking midfielders to come into this side. We need different options, and that's because his form isn't good right now. And the last traditional attacking midfielder we have is Daniel Maldini. I gave him a 5.5 out of 10. I could have given him a 6 as well. I've liked his output since he's come on. He does quite well physicality-wise. Puts himself about in the box quite well for headers. I think as well, he just needs a loan deal, and people look to sort of like nepotism, that the fact he's Maldini's son, that's the reason why he's in this side still. I get that at the same time, but he kind of does have something to offer. He did get that 1 goal, he did get that 1 assist along the way in his limited 8 games. I like his output. I do like his output, and you can't fault him for that. So now we go into sort of the traditional attackers. Rafael Leao. I've loved him. I could have given him like an 8.5 out of 10, but I'm going to give him a 9. I've really loved the way he's played football. Yes, he needs to work on his like clinical finishing. He could have had so many more goals so far this season, considering the fact he's contributed to 5 goals and 3 assists. I've liked the way he's played football. He's probably one of the few players we have that can take on players. He's the most expansive, explosive attacker that we have right now. It's noticeable when he doesn't play, and I just think he's been fantastic so far, and I've loved his mentality so far this season. And his other sort of left winger that we put alongside with him is Ante Rebic. He's only played 11 games and contributed to 2 goals and 2 assists along the way. I've given him a 7.5. I love Ante Rebic. Once again, it's noticeable when he's not playing. I think he's a fantastic player. And I've seen some questionable tweets so far saying that we should sell this guy in January because of his fitness issues. I think he's great. Obviously, injury is going to happen. We know that with his squad. But when he's on the pitch, he's fantastic. I love the way he plays football. I love his aggression. I love his mentality. So I think 7.5, and we're going to hopefully see the typical second half of the season Ante Rebic form, where he ups the ante with his stats and contributions to goals and assists. Now the one you've been waiting for, Alexis Salamakers. What am I going to give him? I'll give him a 10. No, I'm joking. I'll give him a 5.5. And once again, I don't think a recent good game against Empoli is going to change the way I feel like he's been so far this season. I've been quite disappointed with his form. Look, he's not been injured. He's one of the fair few players that can say that about themselves in the squad so far this season. He's not been injured at all. He's been involved in all 25 games so far. 1 goal and 3 assists along the way. I just expect better from the player, and I'm not going to hide from the fact that his form has not been great along the way. He needs to, obviously, he's very young. He's going to work on his craft quite a lot. It's just from the weight of expectation that I give him, I'm going to give him a sort of a poor result, and that's a 5.5. Next up is surprise factor, Junior Messias. Obviously came with a lot of contention coming from Crotone. Not a lot of people were convinced. I certainly wasn't convinced when Messias joined this side. I'm giving him a 6.5. Could have gave him a 7. I've liked the way he's taken it. He's made himself imposed in certain games. In the limited 10 games he's played so far this season, contributed to 3 goals. I like Messias. I think he's good against certain opposition, and the same could be said for someone like Salamakers. I get that, and I think a 6.5 is pretty fair from his output so far this season. And I like what he's done so far. I just don't think he is a long-term solution for us at right winger position, but he's doing a good job so far this season. And lastly, to round up the wingers is Samuel Castillo. Look, six. I gave him a 6 out of 10. I've liked when he's played, and obviously they've been only 5 games, but he's contributed 2 assists in those games. He was obviously involved in that massive comeback win against Hellas Verona. I've liked when he's come on, and I think he clearly is playing with the impression that I'm on limited time here. I'm probably going to make a move in January, so I'm just going to give 100% and just be a bit more daring when I do come on the pitch. And I think that's warranted his result in my regard. I think obviously we know there's limitations to his game, and that's why I can't give him any more than a 6. But at the same time, he's not that sad and depressing when he does come on the pitch. I actually get quite excited when he comes on because we're going to see this sort of ballsy mentality from Castillo. So yeah, 6 out of 10 I think is pretty fair for him. And now centre forwards. First up is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I gave him a 7.5 out of 10. I could have given him a 7 because I've not really always been convinced with the way he plays football, but at the same time I need to remember that he is like 40 years old, and that's mad to think about. But yeah, he's contributed 7 goals and 2 assists so far this season in the limited 15 games he's played. Zlatan's been pretty strong. He's someone I think we can only rely upon of putting the ball in the back of the net from dead ball plays, or if you get the ball to him in the area, he's going to put the ball away in most occasions. Yeah, he's been pretty strong from what I've seen so far from the season. But yeah, I think 7.5 is pretty fair for him. Next up is someone I've been very disappointed so far, and I've made my comments known on the podcast over at the start of this week, is Olivier Giroud. I gave him a 6 out of 10. I know injuries haven't helped him along the way. He's only played 15 games, similar to Ibrahimovic. Contributed to 4 goals and 1 assist along the way. Look, Giroud is someone I thought would pick up the slack when Ibra went down, and I thought he'd be on probably the same amount of goals that Ibra would be on right now. It's also the fact that when he came back from his first injury, that back injury he got in September, he's looked very static. He's looked really poor. And I think this is probably because of his age, mid-30s. It is going to take it out of you. I'm just kind of concerned now that we have 2 players above the age of 35, and with consistent injuries, it's that I kind of thought that this wasn't going to happen because we have a few options in this department that he wasn't going to get frequently injured. So hopefully there's a better second half of the season for Giroud. Keep himself fit. There's less games to play upon, and hopefully increase his stats. But yeah, 6 out of 10 so far. And the last player is Pietro Pellegrini. Yeah, I'm just going to give him a 2 out of 10. It's just not good. But he's featured in 6 games, limited minutes. I know I could be harsher on players like Balotore and Bakayoko, who have had a bit more minutes than him. But I'm not convinced of him. We need to just maybe cut this loan deal. He's just not the one for me. When we know we've got players like Colombo out on loan who can do equally so much more better output than him, but he's just not been good at all. Okay, lastly, head coach Stefano Pioli. I gave him an 8.5 out of 10. Look, he's having to deal with consistent injury issues, players' forms being in and out, COVID. It's been really hard for any coach really to deal with squads right now. But I think he's doing the best. He's doing the best that he can really do, and we're second place in the league. Yes, we've crashed out of the Champions League in a very hard group. We still haven't played a Coppa Italia game. We're there and about for the league. We're 4 points off Inter Milan. We're looking quite strong for a top 4 finish, which has always been the objective for the season. So I'll judge him on that, and also judge him on the players he has at his disposal and the way he's improving this squad and the players that he has within it. Yeah, I've loved Pioli's output, and 8.5 is pretty good considering. Yeah, so we'll round up things with that. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. I'm going through the whole squad. I've even reviewed head coach Stefano Pioli. If you disagree with my ratings and reviews of certain players, maybe drop yours in the comment section below. It's always great to get your feedback and, maybe you disagree with me or agree with me in this sort of perspective. Until next time, guys, Forza Milan.